What's up guys, it's your favorite Kiwi coach and give me 6 months of your time, I'll give you the best golf swing of your life. So welcome back to the channel guys. As you just saw, this particular video, we're going to be talking about early rotation, and this is going to be a little bit of a different video series. The purpose is we're going to take common swing faults that we see, and then from there, we're going to show you the exact checkpoints of what is bad and then what is good. And then from there, we're going to go through the exact fixes that we do in lessons, the exact feelings to be able to fix it. So if you're interested in fixing early rotation, this is the perfect video for you. And let's go ahead and jump in. So now the first part of the video, we're actually going to take a look at what a bad golf swing would look like when it comes to early rotation. We're also going to be at the same time looking at a pro golf swing, one of our pros, Taiga-san, who has a very good sequence of rotation. So let's go ahead and start with taking a look at the swing I made, which was going to be the bad swing. And let's go ahead and check it out. So the first position that we check for is going to be called position 5. And this is going to be when the lead arm is parallel to the ground. So take note of my left leg here. Notice how it's visible, however, on this side and not the right side. So when it comes to the improper checkpoints, this would be an improper checkpoint because actually the way that my pelvis and hips look at this point should be where I should be at impact, not at position 5. So I'm actually 2 positions earlier. So to give you guys a little bit of a reference of what it should look like, let's go over to one of our pros, Taiga-san, and zoom in and take a look at what he looks like at this position. So notice how we can see about half of his left leg, however it's on the right side over here, not on the left side over here. So this would be more so what we want to look like. So now as we compare the two side by side, we can see a pretty drastic difference between the two. Taiga, we can still see a little bit of his left leg on the right side. On my swing, we can actually see the left leg on the left side. So that is going to be position 5, and that's going to be the major differences between the two. Let's go hop into position 6. So now we're moving down to position 6. So position 6 is going to be when the club shaft is parallel to the ground on the downswing. And let's start to go over some of the checkpoints. So first and foremost, take a look at how you can see my whole left leg at this particular point in the golf swing, and we can see the whole leg on the left side over here. So this is massively early rotated, and this is actually be pretty much where I am at the finish at position 10, not position 6, almost 4 positions early now at this particular point in the golf swing. So this is massively over or early rotated. This is not where we want to be. Let's go take a look at one of our pros, Taiga-san again. Let's go take a look at Mr. Perfect here, and let's go see where his position 6 is. So as he comes in position 6 now, take a note at what it looks like in terms of the left leg. So as you can see on the 2D camera, it appears that basically the thighs are parallel to each other, and you're really not seeing much of his left leg at all at this particular point. Now this is just 2D. In 3D, you would actually have a little bit of an open pelvis here. However, in the 2D view from the angle that we're filming from, you really don't see anything. So when you guys are filming from 2D with the camera, this would be the proper checkpoint at this point. So now let's go cross-reference back to my swing. Take a look at where my hips are at position 6. Let's go back to where kind of Taiga is, side by side, and you can see a massive difference. So the one on the below, this would be very heavily early rotated, and then Taiga's over here would be in pretty much perfect position, exactly where you want to be. Let's start getting into position 7, which is the last checkpoint for early rotation. All right, so now we're heading down into position 7, and that's quite simply defined when you hit the golf ball, right? So basically your impact position. So very similar to where it was at position 6, however, a little bit more rotated. You can see that we can still see the whole left leg, and even at this point, there's some space between the legs, which, even for the follow-through position, this is still very open for the hips in the follow-through position. So this is very early rotated at this particular point in the golf swing. Now, to give you guys a little bit more of the ideal example, going back to Mr. Perfect again, Taiga Harada-san, make sure to go check him out on Instagram. We can see at impact now, we can see about half of the leg on the left side at impact. So if we cross-reference that back to my golf swing, we're going to see a massive difference between the two at impact, right? Just look how different that is. So Taiga, a very key point here is he still has some room for rotation, right? He's still going to be rotating the pelvis and the rib cage all the way to the fall through, where I am pretty much reached my full capability of rotation at this point, my full max limits, and I'm going to be stalling the hips past impact, which will make it very easy to rotate the shaft, lose control of the shaft, and all the stuff that we don't want to do. So now, you guys completely understand the checkpoints of good and bad. Let's start to get into some other information when it comes to timing of rotation. This is a really key point of the video. So now when it comes to timing, I think you guys all kind of understand the first part of the timing, which is at position 5, you should be here, position 6, you should be here, position 7, you should be here, right? That's the kind of the first point that you can think about of timing. But another point where a lot of people get kind of misunderstood and kind of maybe a little bit confused is we can have like perfect timing to position 5, let's say, but that doesn't mean that we're guaranteed the correct pelvis movement for the rest of the swing. I've seen very often where people get into the correct position 5, but then P5 to P6, they spin really quickly, and then from P6 into P7, they stop spinning. So in that particular case, what ended up happening was P5 correct, P6 incorrect, impact actually correct. However, even though you were correct in 2 positions, the overall motion was incorrect because the timing of it was incorrect. Does that make sense? So even though impact, it looks good, even though P5, it looks good, the performance of the swing is not going to be very high because the timing was really incorrect. So timing is not only just what we talked about there, where it's like, yeah, P5, P6, P7, but also you got to think about it as, you know, kind of the rate of rotation. If you think about it as kind of a graph that's kind of going up and then it slowly starts to fall off. If you kind of peak early, then go down and then peak again, it's kind of a wobbly graph, an unstable graph, and the timing is not necessarily what we want. Okay, so now you guys have the basic checkpoints, you understand good and bad, you get a little bit of the timing, which we're gonna definitely use that information a little bit later in this video. Now let's start to get into the best part, right? The most fun part, which is gonna be the actual fix. How the hell do we fix this early rotation? So as you guys have probably known, in our lessons, the first place that we always try to go after the checkpoints is the approach, right? What is the direct body part that is correlating in early rotation? And this is where a lot of you guys go wrong, right? You might be like, oh, it's because my left toe moved this way. That's why I early rotated. If I just fix the toe, I'm gonna fix early rotation. And we would call that an indirect correlator, or just really no correlation at all, right? My left toe can do a whole bunch of things and I don't really need to rotate my pelvis to do them, right? So they're not really directly correlated. So it's really important, and this is why you guys are watching the video and you guys are getting lucky, because I'm gonna give you the answer to find the correlating body motion, which in this part is going to be the pelvis as well as the rib cage. Now, here's the reason why they're correlated. So if my rib cage rotates to, let's say, about here, it can only rotate to a certain point before the pelvis also has to start rotating to complete the range of motion. So if you're one of those people that spins the upper body, the lower body at some point is gonna start to come along for the ride, because if you don't, you're gonna break your back, right? So what happens is if you spin your upper body, the lower body will also spin as well. Same thing in reverse. If I spin, let's say, my lower body, at some point I can't keep that separation, I'm gonna break my back, so I start to rotate the rib cage as well, and then I also can get really early rotated as well. So the direct correlators when it comes to early rotation is not only the pelvis, but also the rib cage as well. And for most people, typically when it comes to early rotation, it's the pelvis that's leading the charge, right? And then the rib cage starts to churn early after that. But some people also spin the rib cage as well, but it's much more on the rare side. So now that we understand the direct correlating motions and kind of why they are direct correlating motions, let's start to get into what are some, images, some feelings that we could use to actually fix the early rotation. So to understand kind of the feelings that we need to do, the first place let's start off with is going to be the how much. So the how much in this case is going to be, if I swing up to the top, let's just call this 0 position, right? The starting position at the top. So from here, if I have any type of rotation, let's call that, maybe a positive percentage. And then if I get up to the top here and then I go opposite, you can call that a negative percentage, or really whatever terms you want to use, right? Just understand we're starting from, let's say, 0 spot, which is the top of swing before you start down. And then if I start to rotate this way, that would be the positive in this case. If I start to rotate this way, which would be opposite, that would be the negative. So when it comes to how much, those are really the 2 options that we have when it comes to early rotation, right? We can either, maybe have just a little bit less of this positive rotation, or we could have maybe a little bit of the negative rotation, or maybe we could have a lot of the negative rotation, right? Definitely don't want to have a lot of the positive rotation, right? Because we're struggling with early rotation, but you guys kind of get the point, right? When it comes to how much, you got to think about it on that scale, right? Put a percentage to your feeling is what we like to talk about in lessons. All right, that's it for you guys on YouTube. But before you guys click off, let me give you some quick wrap-up points. So I hope you guys enjoyed this new video series. Remember, the whole video series is taking a common motion that you guys struggle with, going over the exact checkpoints that you guys should have for good and bad, and then showing you guys exactly how I would in a lesson change someone's golf swing by going through some simple images and feels. So you guys on this YouTube channel did not get to see the part where we talked about the feels and kind of went over a lot of the important information. So if you guys want to watch this whole video, you guys are early rotating, well, why don't you guys sign up for the Kiwi Platinum membership? You guys are going to get access to 330 plus videos. Every single month, we're posting 20 to 25 new videos on that membership site. And then also, if you guys sign up for certain membership levels, you guys don't have to take the 6-month program, and you guys can just take individual lessons from me if you guys would like so as well. So check out that link down below. It really supports this YouTube channel. Other than that, I'll see you guys in the next video.